start off by understanding explain to me a little bit about what you actually do and how you kind of help security professionals do a better job. Let's start there, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm a cybersecurity entrepreneur, a speaker, and a best-selling author. And I'm the owner of Cybersecurity Capital, and that's a training and consulting firm. And I work with leaders and women in security. And really what I do is I help them create really impactful and enviable results and take them from being stressed and burnt out, feeling alone and disconnected and under-empowered, really, to being valued, connected and empowered. And I've got 3 solutions that I offer in regards to those things. 2 are for women, which follow on from my best-selling book about women in cybersecurity and why failure to attract and retain women in cybersecurity is making us less safe. So one is purely how to attract and retain more women in cybersecurity. The other one is a platform that is coming for just women only, and that's going to be called The Secret Code.
Right.
And then the other one that I have is called The Sought After Leader. And that in some ways follows on from the book. But as I always say, what's good for women is good for men. So really it's about helping a leader to become more empowered, more influential, to know how to attract a diverse team, the best talent, how to develop them, how to create these psychologically safe environments and get the best out of them, and then engage with the other stakeholders in the business. So it's very much kind of working on the soft skills side of the industry.
I see. So you talked about attracting women into cybersecurity. What's your take on that at the moment? Where are we at the moment with that?
Well, it's an interesting question. So we have reports that say we have 24% of women in the industry. So we are moving away from 11%, which is where we were in 2015, I think, when I first started writing the book. So for me, what I like to kind of promote is the achievements that we're making. And it does look as if we are doing a better job of getting more women into the industry and remaining in the industry. But what I also see is that there isn't the data out there, and that's why I'm doing some research. So I've got a very big research project on at the moment, which is looking at the numbers, looking at the specifics in terms of, well, how many women do we have in the industry compared to men as a percentage, and in what areas and in which locations. And then I'm doing some research on behavior, voice and environment at conferences, which follows on from the Insecurity Code and the Insecurity movement, and also in the workplaces. So I think we're moving in the right direction, but I want us to be having more data-led conversations about what's going on, rather than just really kind of listening to the stories that are out there.
What's driven the change, do you think? Why are we moving in this better direction? What is it that's really sparked this?
We are doing a better job of awareness. So our industry is evolving, and it's a new industry. I've been in the industry for 22 years this year, and I think we're getting out there. So from a marketing perspective and an awareness perspective, we are doing a better job, and there's been a lot of...
Well, it is a job. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
It is a profession now,
It is.
It's that really helps, of course.
And so there's much more of an emphasis, so that we're going into schools, whether it's governments across the world or whether it's professionals wanting to do this on a voluntary basis, but we're getting into the schools and we are letting the kids know, and the girls, if we're talking about women, what exactly we do and how diverse a profession cybersecurity is.
Sure.
So that's really helping. So yeah, I think that's the main effort. Just
the awareness is really the thing that's driving the change, you think?
Yes, but again, there are reports out there that say more women are leaving the industry than coming into it. But equally, the report that draws on that is, I think, 13 years old. So it's just like, we need more data.
And I'm assuming that obviously there's a change in culture within employers themselves as well.
Absolutely.
That's there's playing a role here as well, right?
There is. And also the way that we work is changing.
Sure,
So we've got
sure.
different generations coming in. We've got the millennials moving into those leadership roles. And the way that we work is changing. You know, a decade ago, we worked in a very, very different way to how we work now.
Is there anything, are there specific things that you think having that balance really brings to a security organization that makes it work better, having that? What is it?
Yes, absolutely. So we know from data that when women come into the industry and when they're in leadership roles, then we're more profitable, we're more productive, we're more innovative, and we stay on budget much more compared to homogenous teams.
Right.
So we know that if women are involved in peace negotiations and things like that, then countries will remain more peaceful for longer. But when it comes to security, then we know that and actually something else, when women are involved in decision making, so when there are more women in a team, the intelligence of the group increases. So we make better decisions when there are more women into the team.
So the balance is actually greater than the sum of its parts when you
exactly.
when you have women into the equation.
Yeah, and it's very much about embracing the fact that men and women are different.
Course,
we all have a range of maleness and femaleness, but fundamentally we are different. Different, which is a good thing. So embracing that difference. But certainly when it comes to women, we tend to have higher emotional and social intelligence. We tend to be more intuitive. We tend to be able to remain calm during periods of turbulence. And if we've got an attack happening, then that can only be a good thing. So there are certain skills that we have typically as women that can help in our industry. We tend to be more attuned to changing patterns of behavior, which is what we need to be looking at, when it comes to attacks and things like that. So that doesn't look right. Well, what is it that doesn't look right about that? Women are very good, about that. But certainly men and women see risk in very different ways. And there have been so many hundreds and hundreds of studies, about this that, I've certainly referenced in my book. But fundamentally, that's for us in security, because our job is to reduce risk in line with the business's appetite for risk. That's really why we have to have more women in our industry. So, whether we have 20% of women in our industry, whether it's less, whether it's more, but we just need a better balance so that we can evolve and do a better job.
Let's start with a really basic question. What do you think the role of a CISO should actually be? What's your definition?
They've got to be, it's a leadership role. So CISOs today have to be much more influential. So they've got to be able to talk with the various stakeholders in the organization.
Right.
Their communication skills have to be really, really
They have to be talking the language of the board. They have to be great communicators. That's important, right?
Yeah, and also as a leader, they've got to be leading their team. So they need to be creating these psychologically safe environments, because what I see right now is it's a very, very challenging environment. It's often a CISO is in a very hostile environment. So we know.
Why is it hostile? Why do you think it's so hostile?
It's hostile because they're used as scapegoats so much of the time.
True.
There isn't necessarily the awareness that there could be in the organization. So even if we think about the job title, Chief Information Security Officer or Chief Security Officer, our job is not really to secure.
No.
We can't.
It's about risk, isn't it?
It's about risk. It's about lowering the risk. So often there can be that misunderstanding throughout the senior stakeholders. So, if a CISO is approaching a CFO asking for more budget and the CFO wants that assurance, well, I'll give you this budget, but, what's the return on my investment? Can you secure me?
Yeah. It's not enough to say, well, I want more budget to buy this product, because that will absolutely just go nowhere.
That's right. So that is where a CISO really needs to be able to, one, ascertain the risk, and to be able to convey exactly what it is that he or she is doing in that organization. So exactly where he or she can take them to.
It feels to me that CISOs need to become really good at sales. They
Yes.
need to be really good at understand those skills around the psychology and that communication is so important probably now more than ever before for the CISO, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. Pitching. So talking the language of whoever it is that they're in front of, really getting to know the stakeholders, again, the person, that they're in front of, what's in it for you? Let me see things through your lens. How can I help you, as opposed to this is what I do? It's actually forming a bridge. So a lot of the work that I do, I'll enable a bridge to be built. So it's a case of understanding life through your lens, what it is for you to be able to do a good job, for you to be able to achieve your targets and your KPIs, and vice versa. And then it's a case of, well, how can we do this together? So it's working collaboratively, very much from a friendship perspective, really, but very much collaboratively. And I think kind of changing this culture. So working more like the hackers to a certain extent. So working very much, giving to gain. I often talk about give to gain. And our culture is very much lockdown, lockdown. No, you can't see it. Everything's a secret. Yes, it's going to be about knowledge hoarding as opposed to sharing. And it's almost taking that leap of faith, jump, take that leap of faith, open up.
Got it.
And that's really, I think, what we need to become better at doing, creating more openness. Yeah. So going against everything that we've been brought up on. Yeah. And this whole kind of giving to gain and sharing and working collaboratively.